Putin unleashed on Ukraine.
This is how some news organizations in the US have been covering Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
Russia's full-scale invasion.
Russian invasion.
Russia attacking Ukraine's fuel deposits.
And this is how it's described on Russian state television.
Спецоперация.
Спецоперации.
Специальная военная операция по защите ДНР и ЛНР.
The two sides, they really have wildly different descriptions of what's going on because the Kremlin is really conscious of public opinion.
State broadcasters have been reinforcing Russian President Vladimir Putin's narrative that Ukraine and its Western allies pose threats to his country.
Украина для стран Запада всегда была лишь инструментом для сдерживания России.
With ongoing global coverage of the war and a deluge of information on social media, Russian state media outlets are using maps and dismissing Western media reports to send its own message about the invasion of its next-door neighbor. To understand why Putin decided to attack, you first need to know how he sees Ukraine's relationship to Russia.
Это неотъемлемая часть нашей собственной истории, культуры, духовного пространства.
So the state media has been giving its viewers a geography lesson. This is a map of Ukraine today, which was a Soviet state before it gained its independence in 1991. Here, parts of the country are broken up into sections. The reporter says that these areas aren't really Ukraine's, but were gifts from past Russian and Soviet leaders. And this yellow part in the middle is the only section that's labeled as Ukrainian territory.
Maps like these, the idea is to really shape public opinion and give this kind of historical backing for their current operation in Ukraine.
And this historical context was reiterated in Putin's nearly hour-long speech days before the invasion.
Современная Украина целиком и полностью была создана Россией.
Putin seems to have been focused on history when it comes to Ukraine, and he has always mentioned Ukraine where it has been part of Russia and it should continue to be part of Russia.
Back in 1991, Ukrainians held a referendum that overwhelmingly supported independence from the Soviet Union, and this decision was backed by Russia. And as a sovereign state, several years later, Ukraine asked to join NATO. But Putin objected because this would bring the military alliance closer to Russia's doorstep, a concern that his predecessor shared after the breakup of the Soviet Union. So he demanded that the alliance guarantee Ukraine would not get membership, and when there were none,
То, что происходит, вынужденная мера. Мы просто не оставили никаких шансов поступить иначе.
the state media has amplified this narrative that the conflict with Ukraine isn't Russia's fault, but the US and its Western allies are to blame.
В планах США навязать Европе войну с Россией.
Безответственные западные политики создают угрозы для нашей страны.
A few days after the invasion, Putin raised the stakes again.
Перевести силы сдерживания российской армии в особый режим несения боевого дежурства.
He ordered the country's nuclear forces to be put on alert as the US and its allies stepped up pressure with new sanctions.
Что гарантированно уничтожают США и все страны НАТО в придачу.
And Russian state media echoed his message.
Путин предупреждал, пугать Россию не надо.
State media programs are also running disinformation segments. This newscast shows what it claims to be a tweet from CNN about an American who died during the invasion of Ukraine. No American casualties have been reported during the war, and the Twitter account was suspended. CNN said the tweet was fabricated and the account not affiliated with the news organization in any way. The Russian state media channel Rossiya 24 didn't respond to a request for comment. Russian state media have also repeated the Kremlin's position that there are no threats to civilians, and that it's only targeting military installations.
К мирным жителям и городам отношение реально бережное.
In the first week of war, Ukrainian officials said the invasion's civilian death toll had reached 2,000.
These outlets, they are propagating, the Kremlin line that this is a limited operation, and also saying that Russia needs to demilitarize Ukraine. They're really saving the population in eastern Ukraine. The Kremlin wants that the domestic audience sees Russia not as an aggressor.
Before the invasion, many Russians agreed with the Kremlin line on Ukraine. About 60% of those surveyed in Russia say tensions in Ukraine are the fault of the US and NATO, according to a Russian independent pollster. But the Kremlin's narrative isn't getting to everyone in Russia. Across the country, people have been protesting Putin's decision to invade. So to continue shaping public opinion, the country's communications regulator ordered all media outlets, including independent ones, to only use official government sources. The government watchdog and state media organizations didn't respond to a request for comment. And as the West has started to cut off Russia from the global financial system, ordinary citizens are starting to feel the pain, lining up at ATMs to pull out cash as the Russian currency has plummeted.
Я не знаю, чего ожидать даже, потому что последствия могут быть непредсказуемыми. Может закрыться Макдональдс, где я каждый день кушаю. Также курс рубля. Не знаю, справится ли с этим Центробанк.
And this could provide the Kremlin another opportunity to cast the US and its